First and foremost, Assalamu alaikum, which means peace upon you all. I would like to thank first and foremost everyone that is here. This is actually my first time being here. It's a pleasure and it's an honor being here to mention some words of gratitude. First and foremost, our Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, he says that if you don't thank the people, you don't thank God. So first and foremost, I would like to thank Reverend Perry for allowing me to be here, the pastor of the First United Methodist Church, for hosting the event, and Interfaith Works for inviting us to speak. I would like to also thank the Native American heritage for the land that we are on, and also like to thank all of you for giving me the time to say some words. I wanted to mention a verse in the Holy Quran that reminded me of a time that we are going through in this day and age. And that was a time where I'm pretty sure most of you are familiar with the Prophet Moses, peace and blessings be upon him. And at a time where he was facing such a tyrant, and that was the Pharaoh. And, you know, in the history of the entire world, you're never going to meet someone as evil as Pharaoh. When he was known as, you know, in our Islamic faith, in our traditions, he is known as the worst person to ever walk the face of this earth. And yet, the mercy of God is that he gives him a prophet. You know, couldn't easily God have destined him to be punished since the day he was born? But God, out of his mercy, blesses him with a prophet, sending him reminder after reminder. And the children of Israel, you know, the children of Israel, the followers of Moses, peace and blessings be upon him, they were under great turmoil. And God, rest assured, is going to console his believers and console those that believe in him. And he says in the Holy Quran, in chapter 14, which is the chapter of Abraham, God says, first and foremost, to the followers of Moses, alayhi salam, which peace and blessing be upon him. He says in Arabic, لَإِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. He says, despite the circumstances that you are going through, despite the turmoil that Pharaoh has been doing since day one, O Moses, since the day that your mother put you in the Nile River, and lo and behold, you are on the shores of the house of Pharaoh. Since that day, لَإِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. That if you are grateful despite the circumstances, despite what's going around, you know, what you see, everything that's going around you, despite the circumstances, if you remain grateful, I will, without no doubt whatsoever, give you more. God did not specify what he was going to give us more. He will give us more in forgiveness. He will give us more in wealth. He will give us more in everything. So we see that despite the circumstances that we are living in this day and age, we remain grateful, no matter what's going on outside. Remain grateful for the similarities that we have. And we focus on the 95% of the things that we can agree on, rather than the 5% of things that we disagree on. I wanted to mention also a time during Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. He was sitting with his companions one day, and obviously, instead of a church, we have a mosque. So the Prophet and his companions, they didn't have, walls like we have in this day and age, and fancy windows and what have you. It was very, especially in the desert, it was very hot, so you need proper ventilation, so there's no such thing as walls. So the Prophet and his companions one day were sitting around in the mosque, and a Bedouin happens to walk by, a villager. He doesn't really go to the city as much. And he decides to urinate in the mosque. Now, that's something crazy, right? You don't urinate in a mosque. So the companions of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, they attempt to attack the man. As every right, I'm pretty sure most of us would do the same. So they attempted to attack the man, and the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, he tells his companions, hey, let him finish at least. No one wants to be bothered while using the restroom. So upon seeing this man, this villager, he's taking care of his business, and he sees these men attempting to attack him. But he sees this other man, Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, attempting to stop these men from attacking him. So Prophet Muhammad gently goes up to him and he says, "Oh, so-and-so, this is a mosque, and it's a place of worship. It's a place of remembrance of God, and it's a place of cleanliness. It's not a place to use a restroom." And he tells his companions to pour water and clean the area. And this man was astonished of the words of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. And he cries out to God, and he supplicates to God, and he says, "Oh God, forgive me for what I have done, and forgive Muhammad, but don't forgive anyone else. Anyone in this mosque, don't forgive him. Just forgive me and Muhammad." And Muhammad laughs and he says to him, and he says in Arabic, he says, "لَقَدْ حَجَرْتَ عَنْ شَيْءٍ وَاسِعًا." He says, you have constricted something so vast, and that is the mercy of God. Unfortunately, we are guilty of this. We constrict the mercy of God. The mercy of God is for everybody. It's not for a specific social class. It's not for a specific race. Nor is it specific to a faith. The mercy of God is for everybody. But in order to have the conversation that encourages that, we have to begin to dismantle the barriers that have kept us from really conversing globally on equal grounds. I conclude with the verse in the Quran in which God says in chapter 49, verse number 13, and I will recite it in Arabic, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير. O mankind, we created you from a single pair of a male and female, Adam and Eve, and made you into nations and tribes, so that you may know and learn from each other, not so that you may despise and hate and fight one another. For verily, the closest to me amongst you is best in conduct, most righteous. Thank you.